So you're in the showroom right now. This is the showroom for the MSU wheat breeding program here. This is the final stages before licensing and commercialization. So all of these lines that you see from the edge there up through here are in this is their third year of yield testing, and these are the breeder seed lots right here. So there's a point where we use a lot of seed that's been through the combine, can get see a lot of off types, and so one of our jobs in the breeding program is to develop a pure line stock. So you can see that there's some micro variation, and you'll always see that. But we walk through here, and I just found an on list. Here it is. So we have to go through these with a fine-tooth comb, because that one plant with awns, it's going to kick out 90 seeds, 90 to 100 seeds. So if you plant an acre of it, you will see every single one of those 90 seeds show up as a rogue in there. So all that work we have to put in a lot. I'm glad it rained too, because these were impossible to pull out of the ground last week. But you can see there's good uniformity, and so this is seed that we're going to transfer to our commercialization partners. I can talk a little bit about these varieties too now that we're out here in them, and feel free to move about. We've got some tram lines in here that you can walk through the plots and everything. So the silvery boy right that you see right there, that is W35. So on your sheets we're going to start at the bottom there. That's W35, MI20W0035. So they just get numbers until they get released. But that line is the highest yielding soft white wheat that we've tested over the last 3 years. And so we hope to commercialize that this year. It has really high grain yield, good standability in the face of high yield. It will hold it. And good stable test weight, really high test weight. And the scab resistance is intermediate. We don't test anything that's scab susceptible. And so in comparing it to other varieties, it's similar to like DF271 or Mackinac, or there's some others that are fairly resistant. It's kind of intermediate for scab. It's in between Whitetail and Dynagro 9242, I would say, but much better than the parents, better than Jupiter, better than Ambassadors, significantly better than Ambassador. This is another line. This is just a fun line. A straw producer produces a lot of biomass, a lot of straw. Hopefully it'll produce enough grain here. I don't have it on your sheet. I don't know if it's A squad yet. It might be B squad, but we're testing it one more year to see. So these others are definitely A squad here. Actually, the lime green variety on the far end, right down here. I'm just going to be moving around a little bit. Thank you all. This line is going to be the most scab-resistant soft white wheat that we have in the program. It's got the FHB1 gene plus some additional resistance in there. This line is going to be a good straw producer. It's competitive for grain yield, so it's still outperforming the commercial soft white wheats that are out there. I have some high hopes for this line. We'll see how it performs in the drought. The first year that it was yield tested was in 2021, and that block just behind us there. And it was dry in 21, so hopefully it'll do very well this year. Looking to see some of that come through. Now, as we move down the way here, let's shift gears. Let's talk about some red wheat. So that's white wheat. So white wheat growers had a long drive to get here today, so we're in the red wheat producing part of the state, and what we've got here is an exercise in harvest index. We've got a very short plant architecture with a lot of grain yield. Right, so it's that ratio of the amount of biomass to the amount of grain that's produced. So this one right here, that's a lot of biomass to grain. That's a different harvest index. So this one's got a smaller plant architecture, shorter plant. You wouldn't necessarily need to put a PGR on this type of variety to hold 130 bushel grain yield, right? Something like that might go down at that yield potential. So short plant architecture, very good disease resistance package. So genetic resistance, you can get genetic resistance to a lot of these canopy pathogens, especially rust and so forth. But really good looking line, real short, high yielding. Now another variety, similar trend. You can kind of get a visual of what I was selecting on in that cohort. This is W143. I saw it on your sheet there. That's another one we're just kind of observing, but we have a seed lot ready. So again, grain yield, good scab resistance across the board, good disease resistance package. Now you can kind of see the differences in the colors, the blues to the greens, etc. So I'm going to work my way down towards the end there. Now this is R120, and I don't know if this made it on there either to your sheet, but really good grain yield, on variety. You can see it, we've got a little bit of work to do yet to clean some of the rogues out. So that's an important step. There's roguing and cleaning these varieties up. So I invite you to come on down this way, and you can see some of these different varieties. So these are a good 2 years away from commercial production, from certified seed production. So the plan is for these varieties that perform well this year, and we have a commercialization partner, someone that wants to commercialize these. We're going to produce another. We're going to go from this strip here. So we're going to get about 4 bags off of this, about 200 pounds. Then we're going to flip those 4 bags into 200 bags the following year. Those 200 bags can then go into another increase there. So there's a scale, and everything starts as one plant. And then we start testing the progeny from that plant, and then we get to this point. So, and this is that unique line. It's got that very unique look. Good scab resistance, very upright plant architecture here. Very open canopy. Good scab resistance, and the same is true for this next line here. This is and so we have our MSU breeding program, but we cross with lines from across the eastern U.S. University of Illinois program has exceptional scab resistance, so that's coming through in this line, which is a cross between Illinois and an Ohio State line too. Ohio State has a great breeding program as well. So I hope to see that. Hope to see this line released. So there's a whole, so some of the traits, you can tell some of the traits we're looking at. I want to pause for any questions or comments from you all.
Why are some of these like curved?
Like this one,
the
right
heads.
there. Yeah, so that's a function of temperature at Feeks 10. And so when it gets really warm, so it's in that transition. So early in the wheat development, it's generally very cold, March or April. And then into May, we start getting flashes of warmer temperature, and as we know, crop growth correlates with temperature at that time of year. So they're getting pushed out of the boot a little bit too fast, and so it kind of curves them over. And there's certain pedigrees that tends to happen a little bit more. It's just they got caught on their way out of the boot. Yeah, and then they just kind of stay like that. There's some lines in the commercial yield trial that do that as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what are some traits that would be beneficial to you all? Any traits that you see out here that are interesting or that might be useful? What about straw produce? Does anyone produce wheat mainly for straw? Well, grain too. It's a dual purpose crop, most definitely. Okay. So, well, we've got a couple more, and you can see that we have both on and onless varieties in the program. R13. Good yield potential, very stable yield potential. So, any one of these could be variety releases. We've got 2 years, so we're looking for year 3, consistent performance. And as we know, every year can be different. Some years we have high temperature stress, or drought stress, or scab stress. So that's another case for planting multiple varieties, getting that certified seed and planting multiple varieties, because we never know what Mother Nature's going to throw at us every year. All right. Well, I'm not going to hammer on the data. I could tell you at length stories about these in terms of data and everything. But yeah, these will be hopefully these will be ready for you all 2 years from now. It's about where they're at. And we do have a combine. So the next step is we did get a grant from the state of Michigan, the MTRAC program, to increase these varieties, to make that connection with the certified seed industry. Most companies don't know what to do with 4 bags. What am I going to do with that? So now we flip that into 200 bags. Now we've got something that we can put in drills and distribute then, and actually do some agronomy and studies with these. So that's been a huge boost to our program, and that was a grant through the state of Michigan. We were able to do that. We got a case 8010 in the shed across the road. Big machine, but the benefit of that is you can climb right up inside there. I can get right into the concave with a shop vac. So it's the complete opposite of like a Gleaner K2 for a seed combine, where it's small. There's not as much place for seeds to go, but that's been another element. And so we can take these varieties. These were crosses in 2017. These were just parents in the greenhouse. Spring of 2017. We've gone in that short of time, we've gone from making a cross all the way to a finished variety. And so it's 6 years to release and about 8 years to actual certified seed production then, on the fast track. And I don't know of anywhere else in North America where that's in winter wheat that's possible. Spring wheat, yeah, you can move pretty quick because you don't have to vernalize. But for winter wheat, we've got a fast program. We can get these genetics to growers quickly. Any comments from y'all? Questions?
So these are 2 years away yet?
Yeah. So what we would do, we'll harvest these, clean them up, harvest, and plant a larger increase. And so next year, so these would be in 2025 would be the absolute earliest on a small scale that we would see these produced, that we would have certified seed for these available. If we get to that point, right? It's still up in the air whether they make it that far, right? But I'm an optimist, so I just make the assumption. That's a fast track for these varieties.
You have some plots that are ready, the bigger areas after this step in this?
Yeah,
property?
so we have done that for a couple of these where we've planted 1.5 acres, and they're on the other side of the lane down there. They don't look as good as these actually, but we just we have the system developed yet. We have the system developed where we can get to that point. But it would be next year that we put these on a larger scale. So say that there's three to four of these will actually be variety candidates, and then that's where we would plant these. We'd be moving to this next block down here, or across the road. We've got some space at Mason where we do produce and we're unique in that regard relative to other breeding programs. Usually they have to outsource that, which takes more time and resources. But we're vertically integrated, where we have the breeding process and that first part of the foundation seed increase within our breeding program, so, which is nice. Some of the bigger states, Kansas, Washington, and North Dakota, some of those other states have, their universities have foundation seed systems, but we have our own foundation seed system within our breeding program, so which is something not a lot of programs have in the eastern U.S. No. We are on this farm. We're on a three-year rotation. So we followed soybeans. So that's our so last year we were up the hill there. So we're kind of in the middle here. So we follow soybeans, and then this field will be corn. That's actually no-till corn up there.
That's what I want to make sure of, because that's my rotation too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the good one.
Not follow wheat.
Well, what we're doing is trying to stay away from corn, right? We don't want wheat to follow corn. I get it. Some places you have to. Your soil management plan. Some places in Kentucky where you have slopes. Yep. If you're following corn, you have to have that wheat on there to keep your soil, you keep your T level, right? But not in here. So, but the goal is, with rotation. That's one of the benefits of having wheat as a rotational crop, is it will increase the yield of your other crops. Corn yields will increase by adding that third year of wheat in the rotation, and that's published and very well established. So
It's very well known.
yes.
I observed that easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it shows up here. If you see, there is a soil-borne pathogen, just like Fusarium likes any grass. It'll infect barley, rye, wheat, corn. There's a soil-borne pathogen here, Cephalosporium stripe. It's all over. And we try to rotate away from it, but what that rotation breaks up some soil, the population, soil-borne pathogen populations. That's definitely a benefit. And so we follow that, and we use a cover crop. We will come in here. We've had some compaction issues over the years. Well, small plot equipment, you have a lot of weight over those narrow tires. So we do. It's. I know it's anti-conservation, but we do come in and deep rip these just to help that. I know you're creating compaction below the compaction that you're fixing, right? I get it, but we come through. We do deep rip, and then we'll use that Gandy spreader that y'all saw up at the farm. We use that to spread our cover crop, and then we did keep it actually. So that we're hoping to improve our soil health here, organic matter and soil structure. We're not going as far as putting dairy manure down here yet. We're not at that point, but we're doing what we can. We're not strict no-till, but we are implementing these cover crops and conservation tillage, reduced tillage anyway. And you can see we try not to go down too deep with our tillage tools. I like, we're using, the vertical tillage tools that allow you better depth control. So our tillage isn't as deep as we have been doing in the past.
This isn't no-till then?
It's not no-till. We have no-till capability, but at this farm, our soil structure we get a better crop. But in the past, in Lenawee County, we had when that was a variety trial site, that was a strictly no-till system into bean stubble. But the ground was always such, it had been rolled, and so it was the site was a lot better. We grow a lot of rocks here too, so that's part of it. There's a big pile up at the end. You can take some home if you want.
For starter seed?
Yeah, exactly. Right. They multiply.
Certified seed for rocks.
That's right. Certified Mason. Yep. Yeah, so we're trying that out. We'll see. That no-till corn had no rain on it until just recently. I think we got a 10th. I think you guys getting the 4/10. I think, bragging about that a little bit. We only got 1/10 here.
I've had less than a half inch since it was.
Okay, that's it's rough. You do see the canopy starting to burn up from the bottom in a lot of these, but there are some varieties that are tolerating the drought conditions a little bit better than others, and it's really hard to replicate and work on drought in those traits. So the way I put it, the way we work on drought is with the combine, right? With the yield monitor, and that'll really do. That'll tell us what within that 1 year we know we can kind of make that association. It's not scientific. It's not. I can't give you a confidence interval with statistics or anything on that, but those kinds of studies are very challenging and much needed though. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? I'm glad y'all could make it down here. Class dismissed. You guys can check everything out. Have a look around.
How do you tell if some of this is from the drought?
Right. What we do have here, so that's barley yellow dwarf virus here, and that's coming from a soybean aphid. So part of our, we had a dry fall and a lot of early planted wheat next to a lot of group 2 or 2.5 soybeans. And so as those soybeans dry down, those insect pests are going to be moving. They're going to hop crops. They're going to move from those soybeans to wheat. And they do transmit this virus. And it's not wide. It's not like head scab where you'll see it across a widespread area, but there will be little points here and there. And unfortunately, a lot of varieties are susceptible. R96 resistant. So. And granted, you'll probably find 1 or 2 in there, but the molecular markers, the DNA information, tell us that it should be resistant. It's got a BDV2 resistance gene, but there's variation in varieties. Some of the other symptoms that you see, where you might see a flag leaf that is kind of scorched. Apart from the cereal leaf beetle, but that's a heat stress phenomenon. Like it was upper 80s, close to, I don't think we broke 90, but during that's a vulnerable stage. Like at flowering, there's having that stress really caused that. And I saw that down in Indiana, and then especially over in Champaign, Illinois. It was widespread across trials there as well. So a different part, I think it has to do with it's a heat stress response. And there were variety differences for that particular trait, where you could see whole plots had kind of that burnt look, or the scorched flag leaf. It wasn't necessarily a virus associated. So yeah, that's a heat stress phenomenon. And I'm sure as you drive around, you'll be able to see where the sand is from the road. You can tell where the sand channels are in some of these fields, or even on top of the knolls where you'll see it'll look brown. The canopy will just dry. It'll just burn from the ground up.
This is from aphid. So.
Yeah, that's an aphid transmitted disease. We have seen another viral disease. This was widespread. I was in Tiffin, Ohio yesterday, and I saw wheat streak mosaic virus. Now that's a different insect pathogen, or pest rather. A wheat curl mite, and so that's where, and that infection can happen. It can happen in the fall, but it was pretty widespread. Some viruses don't have a major yield detriment. We get wheat spindle streak virus down here every time, right around flag leaf, where it's kind of cool before it gets warm. You'll see the symptoms, and then the symptoms kind of disappear. So lines like Cy 100 that will win yield trials in 5 states might show those symptoms, but it doesn't necessarily affect yield. These will. Barley yellow wolf will. Wheat streak mosaic virus will. And there's an initiative in western Kansas to wipe out all volunteer wheat. So that's another thing to consider. It's nice to distribute your cover crop while you're combining, but it also is a risk factor. It's a reservoir for viruses. So that it works as a cover crop, but there is that risk with it. So especially for wheat streak mosaic virus, it just creates these reservoirs for viruses. Something to consider. Something to consider.
Would you be any better planting rye after your wheat then?
Potentially. Rye is a it would be. I mean, it'd be similar to planting rye or oats, just a non. So some of these things affect all grasses. Where anecdotally you might see an increase in some insect pathogens for other crops when you introduce a cover crop like that. I'm gonna stop talking cover crops because I know there's some much more qualified folks to talk cover crops, but overall they're pretty good. I think we have used oats here before at this farm successfully. If you can find the seed. I suppose that goes for rye too, but yeah, rye is definitely a good cover crop as well. Another benefit from these more open canopies, upright canopies that Maninder was describing, would be the ease of application for some of these. You're frost seeding your clover. You've got, canopies aren't closed in March anyway, so that's not necessarily. But if you're looking at something a little bit later, there is that opportunity to. You might be able to apply that cover crop a little bit later, depending on what your management goals are. But yeah, we're using them after wheat, but we're using that right after harvest. We rip and then we put down the cover crop, and then we'll just incorporate that. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited to see what we'll be combining here. Probably first week in July, actually. It's the way things are moving. We expect to be, and it's kind of gotten earlier. It's gotten a week earlier. Previous years, it's been that second week of July. In 2021, we were harvesting the whole month of July because of the rain. It would start, and then rain, and it'd start again, and then rain, and that's why we select on high test weight. And that's where even soft red winter wheat can have a low falling number. There's going to be that association. A 54-pound test weight is going to have a low falling number. I'm not saying I want the elevator to test every load of soft red winter wheat for that. I'm just saying that it's there, high test weight can help to buffer against some of that late harvest too. That's another consideration. There's some varieties that maybe they aren't the highest yield. Sunburst, for whatever reason, will always have a 61. That's not going to win the trial. I know that, but it's always going to have a 61-pound test weight. Always, even in years like 2021. That's another consideration to match up it's risk management, right? You see what those big bottlenecks are in terms of labor and where the risk is. There's always that risk of delayed harvest, and having that genetically high test weight can really give a buffer for some of that. Good. All right. Not bad for an unscripted field day. Good. Did you get everyone's signature so they can put it on YouTube? Put it up for everyone? No, it's okay. That's all right. Yeah. Any more questions, comments from y'all? I appreciate y'all being out here. You can. I'll be around. You guys just have a look around. You came all the way down here, so you're free. You're free to hang out for a little while.
Where do you get the paint?